We're counting down the top 5 most impactful weather events of 2024, from deadly storms to extremely cold temperatures that impacted industry resilience. And I'm joined by my friend Chris Hyde. He's a meteorologist who's going to help us break down the year and what exactly these events brought for us. Chris, let's talk about this. What was 2024 all about?
Hey, Jim, this year proved the weather just isn't a background story. It's the main event, from bitter cold that froze entire regions to storms that rewrote the record books. We've seen how nature can disrupt lives and businesses on an unprecedented scale.
So the bitter cold in mid-January is number 5, Chris, but why?
January was brutal. Temperatures plunged to record lows across the Midwest, Northeast, and even in the southern areas of the U.S. That was really the main event last winter, which drove the highest amount of heating demand, because last winter was such a mild one, with the exception of that period in January, which had, as we just talked about, pretty cold and brutal temperatures.
So number 4 was that southern derecho that sort of rocked Houston. Chris, walk us through that.
Yeah, the derecho swept through Houston with straight line winds topping 80 to 100 miles per hour. Power lines snapped, transportation grinded to a halt. Medex, our product here at Meteomatics, helped identify the hardest hit areas, giving businesses a clear view of where to focus on recovery efforts.
Let's move on to number 3. This was the severe tornado outbreak for Oklahoma and Iowa. What was the impact with this?
This was a series of fast-moving storms that left a trail of destruction in Barnesdale and Bartlesville, Oklahoma, as well as Greenfield, Iowa. Tornadoes packed well over 120 miles per hour in some cases, leveling homes and businesses. Again, Medex was the rock star here in tracking the storms in real time, giving communities and businesses the information they needed to stay safe.
We're going to move on to the tropics with Beryl and Debbie. We know that there is widespread impacts with that. Let's talk a little bit more about what those were exactly.
Yeah, Beryl and Debbie were textbook examples of how unpredictable the Atlantic season can be. Beryl brought gusts over 100 miles per hour and also impacted the Houston metro area with respect to power and transport. Debbie unleashed torrential rains in flooded towns in parts of Florida. And Debbie was the start of a string of storms that impacted the Sunshine State.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. And the number 1 event of the year was actually 2 events: Hurricane Helene, which I have here in Medex, and Hurricane Milton. Chris, what was the impact across industries with these 2 events?
Milton was a monster for Florida's west coast, bringing a 6 to 9 foot storm surge that turned neighborhoods into lakes, and of course, widespread power outages just south of Tampa. Helene dumped up to 10, as much as 20 inches in isolated areas of the southern Appalachians. That had a major impact on transport and certain power in that area as well. And Medex captured that.
So I invite you to reach out to Chris or our team of experts and make sure that you have a well-prepared, well-planned 2025.